Here are your solutions to 9-4 letter problems. First of all, they ask us to find the mean, median, and mode and the range of the data set. So the first thing I did is I put all this data in an Excel sheet, and then I ranked them from least to greatest to put them in order. And of course I could also use the sum feature, and the sum of this data is 1020. And because there's 3 this direction and 5 this direction, I know there's 15, so I divided by 15, and that gave me my mean, which is 68. Next, I needed to find the median, and the median is the centerpiece of data, and that also is 68. I'm going to write it right above the word mean here. Now when it comes to mode, there are 2 66s, there are 2 70s, and there are 2 72s. So those are your 3 modes: 66, 70, and 72 for mode. And then lastly, the range, the low piece of data was 60 and the high piece of data was 74, so our range is 14. And again, all of this data is much more easily found using Microsoft Excel. Letter B, we are told the points scored by a basketball team are shown in the table. Find the 5-number summary of the data. Well, the best way to start this off is to go through it and cross each one off as you do it. We have 20 as our lowest piece of data, and then we have 34, we have 35, so 34 and 35 can be eliminated. Then 2 36s, one right there, one right there. Then a 37, followed by 40, 44, and 83. So there's our data set. First thing we need to do is count them up, and you can see right here we have 9 of them. So the 5th one will be our median, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our median. That leaves an even number on this side, so that means right here is going to be our Q1, and halfway between 34 and 35 is 34.5. And halfway between 40 and 44 would be 42. So this is going to be our Q1, Q2, our minimum value, our maximum value, and right there's our median. So to put those values on the table here, we'll go this way here. And remember, we had 20, we had 34.5 right here, if I remember right. 36 was our median, and then we had 42 here, and of course out here we had the 83 for our maximum value. Please do guided practice. Here are your solutions to guided practice. First of all, we can see here that with our data we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces of data. So we're going to take our total, I'm going to add up all of these numbers here, and we're going to divide it by 7. That is going to give you your mean of 13, or your average. The middle piece of data is 12 when we put these in order from least to greatest. And then lastly, there are 2 12s right here and here. So that's our mode. And lastly, our range is from the low piece of data of 4 to the high piece of data of 21. So our range is 17. Problem number 2. We're given this data here, and if you look closely at it, you'll notice that instead of just being random, the numbers are in order. Unfortunately, they're in order from greatest to least. So we should see that we can kind of do this whole problem backwards, and that's what we're going to do. I'll demonstrate. First of all, find the 5-number summary. Okay, so the minimum is 4. That's going to be right here. The maximum will be 8 right here. So there's those two. Let's go with the median first. Our middle piece of data is right here at 6, so our median is 6, and that leaves 3 pieces of data to the left. That means this is going to be Q1. So I'm sorry, this would actually be Q3 in this case. Q3, and the Q1 is going to be over here. So Q3 is 7, and the middle of the lower half of the data is 5 right here, so Q1 is 5. They kind of did this nicely for you. You didn't have to rearrange the data, you just had to work backwards. And just keep in mind that when you get to your Q1 and your Q3, you have to be careful and not put them in the wrong spot, and of course your minimum and maximum as well. And now we need to draw a box plot of the data. So the minimum is at 4 right here. The Q1 is 5, median 6, Q3 is 7, maximum is 8. Really good example, not a lot of difficult calculating here, but it makes sure that you understand exactly where to put each of these numbers on a box plot like this. And lastly, our essential question. What does the length of the whiskers in a box plot say about the data? Well, if the whiskers are long, the data are spread out. If the whiskers are short, the data are grouped more closely together. And that's really what is powerful about a box plot, is you can look at this. For example, this data here, you can see that this data is really arranged very symmetrically. It's got the same spread on each whisker. The median is right exactly in the middle, and each quartile of data is the same distance from left to right. So this very well balanced set of data. That's usually not quite the case. Things quite often end up more like this, where you have, like we talked about that other day, where you have data, and this data is definitely skewed to the right. Things are more closely packed to the right than to the left. Please do independent practice.